Let's talk about a feeling a lot of us have at work, but we can't always put a name to. It's this strange gap between feeling powerless and being truly accountable. We're going to dive into how to bridge that gap, moving from something called the power paradox to a much better place: empowered accountability. So, let me ask you this. Have you ever been in a situation at work where you just freeze? You're at a great company, you love the mission, but a big decision lands on your plate and you just hesitate. You find yourself waiting, looking for that green light from somebody else. If that sounds even a little familiar, you're definitely not alone. And here's the most important part: it is not a personal failing. All right, so that feeling, it actually has a name, and that's what we're jumping into in our first section: the paradox of power. So, what exactly is this paradox of power? Well, it's what happens when pretty much everyone in an organization starts waiting for someone else to tell them it's okay to act. It creates this huge disconnect between what the company says it values, things like innovation and boldness, and what it feels like to actually work there day to day. It's like the company handbook is shouting, "Be bold," but the office culture is whispering, "But maybe check with your boss first." And make no mistake, this paradox isn't just some harmless quirk. It has a serious domino effect. It all starts with that decision paralysis we just talked about. That paralysis then starts to feed this chronic self-doubt. And once that kicks in, you get hesitation and this constant need for approval, which, you guessed it, starts to erode trust across the entire team. And the final domino to fall? The whole organization just becomes allergic to risk, and you miss out on huge opportunities. So, leaders see this happening and they want to fix it, right? But often, the way they try to help actually backfires. And that brings us right to section 2, the empowerment misconception. You see, the traditional view treats empowerment like it's a gift, something a leader can just hand down to their employees. But here's the catch: when you treat empowerment like an external control, you accidentally make the problem worse. It just reinforces that waiting for permission habit. It makes people more dependent on their leaders, and it actually deepens that paralysis and self-doubt. It's a classic case of a good intention leading to a pretty bad outcome. Okay, so if that's the wrong way to think about it, what's the right way? This right here is the big aha moment. Welcome to section 3, the shift to internal discipline. Here is the absolute key. The real solution is to completely reframe empowerment. Stop seeing it as an external control and start seeing it as an internal discipline. It's not a gift that you're given, it's a muscle that you have to build. Let's put these two views side by side, because the difference is night and day. When empowerment is seen as an internal discipline, a skill that people practice, the results just flip. Instead of waiting around for permission, people start using their own judgment and taking initiative. They're not operating from confusion anymore. They're operating from a place of clarity. This is how you build real resilience and genuine ownership. The source of power literally moves from the outside in. Now, that all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually make it happen? How do you do it? Let's move on to section 4 and get practical with a toolkit for leaders: the 3 leadership disciplines. So if you want to build this kind of culture, leaders need to focus on 3 concrete disciplines. Number 1 is about giving the power back, which we'll call restoring agency. Number 2 is about leading by example, modeling adaptive mastery. And number 3 is all about connecting the work to what people really care about, fostering authentic self-alignment. Let's break each of those down. Okay, first up, restoring agency. This is the perfect antidote to that whole waiting for permission problem. It's about actively encouraging your team to think for themselves and to take ownership. So for a leader, this might look like this. Instead of just giving the answer when someone asks what to do, you flip it back on them and say, "What's your recommendation?" It's a tiny shift in language, but it creates a massive shift in responsibility. Next, you have to model adaptive mastery. This is all about leading by example, especially when things get tough or ambiguous. It means when a project doesn't go as planned, the leader doesn't point fingers. Instead, they're transparent. They say, "Okay, here's what I learned from that, and here's how we're going to adapt our plan." When you show resilience under pressure, you're literally creating a blueprint for the entire team to follow. And finally, leaders have to foster authentic self-alignment. This is a big one. It's about helping people see the clear line connecting their own personal why with the company's mission. When someone's work feels like an expression of their own values, not just a list of tasks, you get this incredible psychological coherence. That internal alignment is the fuel for genuine, confident action because people are now working on something they truly believe in. So, when leaders really commit to practicing these three disciplines, what happens? What's the ultimate result? Let's get to the payoff in our final section. The result is empowered accountability. And this brings us to the end goal, empowered accountability. This isn't just another corporate buzzword, it's a whole new way of operating. It's the kind of workplace where the default question isn't, am I allowed to do this, but what's the best way to get this done? It's where clarity, initiative, and ownership become the norm, because the power to act comes from inside each person, not from a boss or a policy. And the benefits here are just huge. I mean, you're not just improving morale, you are fundamentally building a smarter, stronger, more resilient organization. Individuals get real autonomy, and they're more likely to act ethically. The whole organization learns and adapts way faster. And leadership, it stops being a title and starts being a behavior that you see at every single level. This is how a good company becomes a truly great one. So, I'll leave you with this question to chew on. In your own organization, in your own team, where is the very first place you could start building this kind of internal discipline instead of just waiting for external control? What's that one first step you can take?